world of fraud is big business, and in 2021, scammers took no time off, raking in billions of dollars from unsuspecting individuals. The Federal Trade Commission received more than 2.3 million reports of fraud, with $3.4 billion lost to criminals. The data shows that younger people reported losing money to fraud more often than older people, but when those 70 and older were scammed, the amount was much higher than for younger individuals.
Hello, everybody. I'm Christina Loren. Welcome to this month's edition of Rural America Live with AARP. We also welcome our listeners joining us tonight on Rural Radio Sirius XM Channel 147. Tonight's show is packed with information to help you protect your hard-earned money from fraudsters. We'll answer your questions and share insider tips on how to spot and stop a scam. And you're a big part of the show. We want to hear from you tonight. Our question of the month is, have you been asked to purchase a gift card to pay for things or settle a debt? And we are giving away a cooler to 5 lucky on-air callers tonight, and you could be a winner. Give us a call at 877-283-7570 and join our conversation. As a friendly reminder, you don't need to be a member of AARP or over the age of 50 to win, but you can only win one time each calendar year. If you are a winner, AARP will call you back on the number that you called from in the next few days to confirm your mailing address, and they'll also pay all of the shipping costs. Our phone lines are open. Give us a call at 877-283-7570 and join our conversation. We're ready to take your call right now. Joining us tonight from Edmond, Oklahoma, is AARP State Director Sean Voskuhl, and Amy Nofziger, Director for AARP Fraud Victim Support, joins us from Denver, Colorado. It's so great to have you both back on the show. We have so much to get into tonight, but before we do, we want to start with some other news that will affect more than 10 million people nationwide. The 3G network that many older phones still use is actually going away. Sean, tell us more about what's happening.
Well, and I fall in that category as well, and so I've kind of learned the hard way. But 3G stands for third generation. It's really the level of wireless mobile technology that's used to connect phones and devices, and they're really doing that to make room and free up bandwidth for the faster 4G and 5G technology services. So, when's this going to happen? Well, actually next week, starting with one provider on February 22nd, it'll be affected, and so we know there will be up to 10 million people who will need new devices. And if you're thinking, how do I know which phone is which? And so really, if your phone is older than 2012, that's probably a red flag that you need to get a newer phone. And some medical and security devices, such as tablets, Kindle readers, could be affected as well. And so the question is, what do we do next? And really, it's time to shop for that new phone and talk to your carriers. It's important to find out if there's some discounts or other promotions. There are programs for low-income individuals through the FCC, and also be aware of the Affordable Connectivity Program that starts in March that you also get help with paying for those charges and wireless and internet costs. So go to fcc.gov/ACP.
All right. I love the fact that you always keep us up to date with what's happening and what we need to be on the alert for. And we have so much to talk about tonight. I want to ask you both, we're going to talk about fraud tonight. What makes somebody susceptible to scams? Amy, you work directly with those who may have fallen victim to a scam or may actually have a family member who has. Is there a certain pattern that we can point to here?
That's a question that I get asked a lot. And honestly, there's not one pattern. We all can be targets and victims of fraud. We do know from research, though, if you're isolated and lonely, you might be more susceptible, right? You might be going online more. You might be talking to strangers. But any of us can be susceptible. And honestly, in the last 2 years, who hasn't been isolated and lonely, right? So again, it just brings up the point that we can all be targets and victims of scams.
Absolutely. That's why I love how AARP as an organization is so willing to provide consistent, useful, up-to-date information on scammers, because they are constantly advancing. And so we need that new information. And Sean, based on your experience, what have you learned from your members? What do you find makes somebody susceptible to scams?
Well, just to build off what Amy has said, and we were actually on a telephone town hall together last week talking to our members in Oklahoma, and we heard a heart-wrenching story about a woman who lost her husband recently, and all of a sudden she got called about her grandson being in jail. So it was an example of a grandparent scam, and and what happened is they were probably looking through obituaries and saw that someone has passed away in the family, sort of that I'm under stress, there's a lot on my mind. And so she was really susceptible to a grandparent scam. And I'm so glad she called us and we talked through it. But, she had to deal with the loss of a loved one and then a call out of the blue that your grandson's in jail. If you don't send money, it's going to be really bad. And so that was just last week we heard that story. And again, I think it's taking advantage of people that are dealing with grief, loss, or really stress.
Ugh, it's so hard to hear these stories. And Amy, that's really kind of what you do for a living. You hear these stories. They have to pull at your heartstrings. What are some of the emerging scams that we need to be on the lookout for right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. And first, I just want to say to Sean, I'm still thinking about that woman that we talked to last week. And I am just so proud of her that she shared her story. And, that's why we're here tonight, to hear from you guys and what stories you have. But the emerging scams we're seeing right now, and I don't necessarily know if I say emerging because they've been around for a while, but tech support scams, they are inundating our helpline right now. So that's where you get a phone call or a pop-up saying that there's a problem with your computer and they need to remote access into your device to fix it. Common things they say are, we need to add Team Viewer, we need to add AnyDesk, any of those things onto your computer. If you hear those, stop. Also, government grant scams. Usually these come in over social media and they'll say, oh, you're eligible for a government grant. All we need from you is a prepaid gift card, right? Again, a huge scam. Also, one of the biggest things we're hearing right now are scams involving Bitcoin. If you ever hear Bitcoin, crypto, any of those things, again, just assume it's a scam, hang up the phone. Oh, I love this picture right here. I took this picture at my local grocery store, right? Because people think that crypto is this sophisticated, investment thing. No, this is my local grocery store. I took this from the self-checkout counter with my son, right? But look how easy it is. You can put your coins in and you can buy Bitcoin, and criminals know this. So they will direct you to go to this machine and buy Bitcoin for them. If you hear that, walk away, hang up the phone, delete the email.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. We all need to be on the lookout for that sign when we go to the grocery store from now on. I can't even believe it. That is so advanced, so quickly that's ending up in our grocery stores. Amy, how can we avoid being the prime targets of gift card scams? That's another hot one. What do we need to be on the lookout for there?
So the gift card scams that we hear about, they come in two ways. One, you are buying a gift card for someone, perhaps for a birthday or, a teacher gift, and you go to the store and you pull a gift card off the rack. Criminals will sometimes take those serial numbers and the PIN number off of those gift cards and they'll put them in like a spreadsheet with, algorithms and bots and things that I can't even comprehend. The minute you load money on there, they have a system that says, up, there's money on there, time to take it off. So when you're buying a gift card off the rack, make sure to inspect the front and the back of the gift card to make sure it hasn't been tampered with. Also, even if you want to buy it closer to the checkout line where maybe more eyes are on it, perfect. The other thing we're seeing with gift cards is that this is the preferred method of payment from criminals. So if anyone calls you over the phone, sends you a text message via social media, email, whatever, and says, I need a gift card, stop. It's 100% a scam. Gift cards are for gifts for friends and family only. End of story. Stop right there.
It's interesting. We know from this show, from getting a chance to hear from both of you, the most powerful means of fighting these fraudsters seems to be consumer education. And I'd just like to know, Amy, based on your experience, some of the success stories that you've heard about, some of the stories where you've actually been able to make a difference, because we know that AARP is making a big difference with the Fraud Watch Network. Tell us some of the success stories you've had.
We are so lucky to hear from people, from members from all over the country that have told us that our education has helped them. They'll say, I was at the store and then I remembered a tip from AARP that said, if someone calls you and says, I need a gift card, and they stopped in their tracks, or they're online dating and someone said, oh, I'm stuck overseas. And they're like, oh no, I remember a tip from AARP. That's a scam. Right. So we want to hear those stories, and we need to hear those stories from you, because how you as a consumer protects yourself from scams is going to help somebody else out there. I mean, I hear from 450 to 500 people a day on our Fraud Watch Network helpline. But again, we want to hear your stories and how you were able to stop a scam as well, because that's going to help us help others.
Absolutely, and that ignites our conversation tonight. We're going to pause for a quick break, but we want to hear from you. 877-283-7570 is the number to call and join our conversation. People become the victims of scammers every day on their computers and over the phone. How have fraudsters approached you? Give us a call and let us know at 877-283-7570. When we come back, we also have coolers to give away to 5 lucky on-air callers tonight. And just after Valentine's Day, we're going to cover the latest romance scams. More importantly, how you can avoid them. More Rural America Live with AARP right after this.
Meeting a romantic partner online can be great, but it takes an extra dose of skepticism to stay safe from scammers. Here are some warning signs that a romance scam is underway and the person you are talking to wants more than your love. You meet someone online, and after just a few interactions, they profess strong feelings for you. Proceed with caution, especially if they want to take you off the site where you met and chat only by text or another platform. Here's another red flag. Once they gain your trust, which may take months or even years, they might share a hard luck story and ask you to send money or perhaps a gift card to help pay a bill. Don't send any money or buy gift cards at their request. If you do, they will keep asking for more. Con artists have latched onto gift cards as a convenient form of payment in their scams because they are virtually impossible to trace. For more tips on how to spot romance scams, go to aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork.
Welcome back to Rural America Live with AARP. Our show tonight, how to spot and avoid fraud, including romance and gift card scams. We have 5 coolers to give away, so pick up the phone. Our lines are open now. Give us a call at 877-283-7570 and join the conversation tonight. I know that we have callers already waiting to get in on the conversation. We will go to the phones in just moments, but first, let's talk about romance scams. As promised, Sean, the Federal Trade Commission released a report just last week on monies lost just to this scam. Let's talk about who's most vulnerable and how much money we're talking about here.
We're talking big money, really big money. We know romance scammers are really masters of disguise and deception. And I'll let Amy talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But according to the FTC, there were about 56,000 reports filed last year. This graph really shows the growth in reports filed every year since 2017. The 2021 figures reflect a 3-fold growth in the number of reports filed since 2017. Big stuff. And if we look again, a 6-fold growth in dollars lost. So that's really up $307 million in 2020, over $540 million. Now we're talking about serious cash and really economically devastating for individuals who are susceptible and been taken advantage of. So I know Amy has a lot more to talk about how to avoid scams altogether. Amy, take it away.
Thanks, Sean. And I just want to add to that, that is reported. And that's the thing we need to keep in mind. That is reported dollars lost, right? So if you are someone who is dating online, there's a couple things you can do to protect yourself. First, take the profile picture of the person that you're interested in and do a reverse search. So let's say they're overseas mining for gold, right? And you take their picture, you put it into Google image search, and you find out that that picture is also associated with a realtor in LA. Well, obviously those two things don't match up. Red flag, walk away. Also, anybody who is on a dating app, dating site, Facebook, social media, Instagram, whatever, that asks you for cryptocurrency, a gift card, or a wire transfer, red flag, walk away. And honestly, aren't we at the point in our lives where we want to find someone who is financially stable, right? So walk away from anybody who is asking you for money like that. And finally, just never forward money to anybody you meet online. And this is important because I'll talk to a lot of people and they'll say, well, I'm in a perfectly, happy relationship. I'd never do that. Yes, people are doing that. They're meeting on Words with Friends. They're meeting on all those social media games, things like that. And they'll say, oh, my mom's sick. I just need $100. No, it's a scam. Walk away. Huge red flags of anyone who asks for money online.
Wow, it's tough because with the pandemic, a lot more people have been looking for love online. So that's all the more important to stay vigilant. We're going to go to the phones. Debbie from Colorado is our first winner tonight. Congratulations, Debbie. Go right ahead with your question or comment.
Well, I have a question. So if you get a phone call, like say from a service that you use, a Rfd-Tv, and then they ask you for, like, I'm going to save you money, but I need you to pay now, but we're not going to check it for 6 months. How do you turn them in? Because then when I push redial, I get some other, like, even when I recall them, how do you report? How can we capture these things and stop it? Who do we contact? How can you find that?
Yeah, Debbie, great question, and congratulations on winning, especially from my home state, Colorado. But here's the thing, that is 100% a scam right now. It is a huge scam. One of them called me the other day and said, we can offer this great discount on your utilities, your cable, whatever it is. So the thing that's important is first, that you don't fall victim to the scam. And then second, that you're asking is reporting it. And, honestly, if you report it to your Colorado Attorney General's office, if you report it to us at AARP Fraud Watch Network Helpline, and we'll make sure to get you that phone number. We don't really care where you report it as long as you report it so we know about that scam. So for all of you out there who might have gotten a phone call who says, you can get a discount on your cable, all you need to do is get us a gift card, something like that. It's a scam. Hang up the phone. Do not give them any of that information. Sean, I'm sure you're hearing about that in Oklahoma as well.
You're right, and I think you provided some great resources out there. I love AARP's, scam tracking map that you can go in and be, show that initiative and put that in there, so people in other states in your local area know, well, this is a scam that's hot in our area. And so I think the Fraud Watch Network has a great map to help keep track of the most recent fraudulent scam that are affecting people. So great resources. Be sure and use them.
Yeah, you can just go to aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork if you want to check out that map that Sean's talking about. It really is impressive. Okay, we want to go back to the phones. That leaves a line open for you. I want to make sure you have the number 877-283-7570. Jerry from Alabama joins us now. Thanks for joining us. Go right ahead, Jerry.
Hello, I want to know these commercials they use like former TV stars and actors claim if you give me a zip code, they can add money back to your Social Security check. Is that a fraud?
Great question. So those celebrity endorsements are very popular. I mean, you see them all the time, right? Here's what I say about those. Do your own research, right? Do your own research. Don't just believe the celebrity spokesperson that is getting paid to say those words, right? They don't have any kind of stake in the game on what they're actually pitching. So, call Social Security and ask them about it. I'm pretty much sure if you do, they'll say, nope, that's not how it works, right? You get your benefit based on your earnings, et cetera, et cetera. But we do know that credibility is what we call it by using celebrity spokespersons, pitching a popular name. It makes people feel like, oh, well, if he's saying it must be real, it must be right? But do your own research. And always, you can call us, you can call your Attorney General's office, you can call your Better Business Bureau, but just do your research and check it out.
So good. Okay, we're going to go back to the phones. We're popular in Alabama tonight. Dwayne from Alabama joins the conversation now, and he is a winner. Congratulations. Go right ahead, Dwayne.
Yippee. I was on a conference call a little over a year ago with an organization that I'm a member of, and when I hung up the call, I got a text from one of the people who was on the call, and it turned out to be the card scam, and I lost money. So a year later, I got a call from the same folks using the same person's name in exactly the same way. It was a second try, the same way. Now, I can call those folks back. They left me a number. Is there a way to catch them somehow, since I can contact them?
So there's always a way, but I will just say this. Right. Leave that to the professionals, right? For me, the most important thing is that you do not fall victim to this scam and lose any money, right? Most of these criminals who are committing these gift card scams, and I would imagine this one is what we call like the "can you do me a favor?" You get an email from someone, maybe it's your boss, your priest, a teacher, and it says, "Hey, I'm tied up. Can you help? Like someone's sick in the congregation. Can you buy them gift cards?" And you think, "Of course, I'd be happy to help." What happened is like someone's email was hacked, right? And they took their address book and are emailing all of those people in there saying that. So even though they're answering that email, it is hard to track down. But again, leave that to the professionals, leave that to law enforcement. Give them any information you can about that, but just spot the red flags and share that so no one loses the money. That's my biggest priority right now, is that you don't lose the money on that. Sean, have you guys had the "can you do me a favor" gift card scam happening in Oklahoma? I'm sure it's happening everywhere, so I'm sure it's hitting your state.
It is. It is. I haven't heard it quite as frequently, recently, but what you said, I want to make clear, Amy, and again, at what point do you get law enforcement involved? I mean, should he call his local police or sheriff or the attorney general or all the above? That's a question we get all the time. Is when do you bring law enforcement in?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really great question. And what I say is you bring them in when you want to bring them in. And filing a report with law enforcement, it doesn't set the expectation that they're going to go out and catch those people or use their resources to go after them. But what it's doing, it's marking that scam is happening in your community, right? It is letting people know that is happening. So then law enforcement in your area can let the other residents know. But maybe you don't feel comfortable calling law enforcement about that. Again, you can always call us on the Fraud Watch Network helpline. At the helpline, we get reports of frauds and scams every day. So let's say we find out that there's a trend in Oklahoma or in Tennessee, right? Then I can let law enforcement know, or I can let the AARP state office know in that area that the gift card scam is popular, to warn the residents. Also, all of the data that we get at the Fraud Watch Network helpline, it does go into the Federal Trade Commission's Consumer Sentinel. So they have access to all of those data points. So, again, I think it's really important that you do report, regardless if you're not comfortable reporting it to law enforcement, report it to us, report it to somebody.
But don't be a vigilante. That's the message I got out of all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Leave it to the professionals.
I know it has to be tempting, though. You have the number in front of you. But yeah, leave it to the professionals. I love how you said you bring them in when you want to bring them in. I love that. Okay, so we are going to go back to the phones. Marvin from Arizona joins us now. Thanks for joining us, Marvin. Go right ahead.
Thank you very much. One of the things that I learned many years ago was to program my phone. Most everybody has programmable phones. Program all of your friends, relatives, anybody that might call into the phone, and when the phone rings, you can see who it is. If it's a friend or relative, you pick it up. If it's not, you don't. If it is somebody that you did want to talk to, they will probably leave a message.
Oh, Marvin. Can I just have you shout that from the rooftops, please? Because, that is what I try to preach about every day. You're exactly right. So let's go over that. So if you do have a smartphone, right? And as you said, most of us do. I mean, of course, I have my dog on my smartphone, right? But like, let's say my sister called right now, her picture would pop up and I would know that that's my sister to pick up the phone, right? If it's a number or a name or a picture that I don't recognize, obviously I'm not going to pick it up and I'm going to let it go to voicemail. That is a huge deterrent for criminals, right? Like, just let it go to voicemail. Most of them will not leave messages. I'm going to take it one step further now and give you one more little tactic. So, depending on your smartphone, you can actually go into your settings in your phone and you can hit like one of those little toggle bars. Any unknown caller, you can hit that, it'll go directly to voicemail. So it won't even ring on your phone. It won't even come up on your screen. It'll just go straight to voicemail. And then when you're in a position where you're feeling like, okay, I can listen to all my voicemails and make a determination if I want to call them back, then you can sit and listen to them, but it won't even ring and it won't even bother you. So that's taking it one step further. But thank you for that tip. And I hope a lot of people listen to you on that, Marvin.
Yeah, that's great. And you know what? Something else the fraudsters rob all of us of is our time. And you bring up a really good point. This is a way to keep them from doing that. Fantastic show so far tonight, and we're still.
Christina,
Yes.
that I think that's really important. I love those calls like that Marvin has shared, and so you just don't have to call us tonight and tell us the scams that happen to you. If you've got some tips that can help other people avoid frauds and scams, call us and share those as well. Because we every time we do the show, we learn some great tips that are out there.
That's right. It's like groupthink when we all come together. The great ideas emerge. Okay, 877-283-7570. That leaves a line open for you. Thomas from Oklahoma joins us now. And Thomas is a winner. Thanks for joining us from Sean's state. Go right ahead.
Hey, Christina. How are you tonight?
Doing great. Thanks for joining us.
All right. You said I'm a winner?
You're a winner.
All right. Well, I got one sitting out here in my garage I got from you last year, and here we're doing it again. Hi, Amy. Hey, Sean.
Hello.
How are you?
Hey, Sean.
Yes, sir.
Do you know about Boys Ranch Town in Edmond, Oklahoma?
I know who?
Boys Ranch Town in Edmond, Oklahoma.
Yes.
I grew up there.
Yes.
All right. I'm an alumni. And many years later, I'm living in Wayne down there, and south of the city, and I get a phone call from this guy at Oklahoma Highway. Hi, Sean. I get a call from this guy in Oklahoma City, and he says, "Are you Thomas Kuntz?" And I said, yes, I am. He said, he introduced himself, and he said, "I just got a phone call from you," and he said that he's from the IRS, and I owe money, and I need to make a payment tonight, otherwise I'm in jeopardy. And I said, "Well, did you pay it?" And he said, "No, I didn't pay it." But he had your name and your phone number, and I dialed it right back. And I said, "Okay." I said, "Let me call the sheriff's department." So I did. They said, "We can't do nothing about it." So I called McLean. I called the Norman Police Department. And they said, "No, we can't do anything about it." I said, "What do you suggest?" He said, "Call the Attorney General's office." So the following morning, about 8 o'clock, I called the Attorney General's office. And the lady there knew what she was talking about. She said, "Oh, Mr. Kuntz, don't worry about it. That's called spoofing. They get your name and your telephone number off of anything that you've put out there in public, and they call and they use it, and it's called spoofing. And they can get it off of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, anything you've ever done, a phone bill or whatever else." And I said, "What can I do about it?" She said, "Nothing."
And Thomas, just so you know, we've got a couple of bills in the legislature actually trying to give more teeth to law enforcement, attorney general to charge more for people that are doing the spoofing. And we've also got another bill out there that's going to, these guys that are doing the robocalls, you'll have to, they can't call you anymore because you got to opt into it. And so we've got a couple of issues at the legislature. If you're interested more, just call our office. And but you're right, spoofing's really bad. There was supposed to be some federal legislation a few years ago. We're trying to take that a step further with giving our attorney general more teeth and ability to collect higher fines.
That's great. And
Yeah.
Amy, yeah, I'm sure you've got some thoughts.
I mean, spoofing is such a big problem. The thing is, it's like caller ID came out, what, like, 17, 20 years ago. I don't even know. I know I got it like 17 years ago. And it was great to be like, oh, I don't want to pick up that call right now because I know it'll take 20 minutes, et cetera, et cetera. Now we can't really trust caller ID, right? Because of this spoofing technology that's out there. So, I mean, criminals can even spoof your caller ID to make it say it's from your bank or Social Security or Medicare, right? So, I mean, use caller ID to your benefit, but don't trust it, right? And again, if anyone is calling you, just like Thomas said, like, and they're saying from their they're saying they're from the IRS, Medicare, your bank, whatever, and they're asking you for personal information, it's 100% a scam because trust me, Medicare knows your Medicare number.
Thank you so much for that call. We appreciate it. Thomas. Larry from Alabama. We're going back to Alabama again. He joins the conversation. Thanks for joining us, Larry. Go right ahead.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call. One of the questions I had was, how hard is it to lock someone's credit? So loans cannot be taken out, new credit cards cannot be opened up. How does that process work?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So, what I recommend people to do is put a freeze on their credit report. And a freeze is great for people who know that they're not going to want to open up credit a lot, right? I say that because there are people out there that need to access their credit more regularly. I do not. So, I have a freeze on my credit. You're going to have to do that freeze with each one of the 3 major credit reporting agencies. For the best kind of step-by-step guide, you can go to ftc.gov. So that's federaltradeCommission.gov, ftc.gov, and up in the upper right-hand corner, just type in credit freeze. I always recommend to people to take, a good half an hour, 40 minutes, sit down with a notepad, a cup of coffee, right? And do the process because you're going to have to create a PIN number, a username, and things like that for each one of the reports. But it is a great way to protect yourself from anybody opening up credit in your name. I know I have it. I put it on my husband's account. And when we refinanced recently, all I needed to do was contact the credit reporting agencies, give them all of my information, like my PIN and my username, and say, I would like my credit thawed for 3 days. That is it. And then they'll automatically replace that freeze. And so now I am protected.
45 minutes, that's all it took for the thaw, would you say?
Well, the 45 minutes is really to place it. The thaw is so much quicker. The thaw is a phone call and a couple of, answers to the questions that they ask you. But I tell people that this isn't something you want to rush through, right? This is something that when you're actually placing it for the first time, you don't want to rush through it because each one of the 3 reporting agencies has kind of a different process. So you want to take your time and you want to take notes because you'll need those notes if you want to thaw it eventually. But again, go to the Federal Trade Commission's website or even call us on the Fraud Watch Network helpline. And one of our trained fraud specialists can give you all of that information.
I love that. If you have any questions, they can kind of help walk you through, I would imagine, as well. That's great. Okay, 877-283-7570. That leaves a line open for you. Our next caller is a winner. Charlene from Kentucky joins us now. Go right ahead, Charlene.
Yes. Today I received a note in Messenger from a friend asking how we are. And I, of course, right away responded thinking, well, she's just checking up on us, And so I said, we're doing fine, and how are you? And then I get this message back and wanting to know if I can do her a favor.
Mm-hmm.
And the favor ended up to be that I would get a Google Play card in the amount of $100 and then take a picture of the back of it and a photo of the back and of the number and then send that to her or whoever. But how do you recognize initially that this isn't really the person that you think it is? I mean, it's just like, their name pops up and you think, wow, that they're wanting to ask how we are and all that. And then you end up And I didn't even think about being a scam until I heard your program tonight. But I'm sure it is.
100% it's a scam. Yeah, and thank you for sharing that story, because I know by you sharing that it happened to you, like, would you say just today, it's going to help somebody else. So this is the "can you do me a favor" scam that we were talking about earlier. And you're exactly right. It is very hard to tell if it's legitimate or not. But here's the thing I always say to people: if this is your friend, relative, acquaintance that is reaching out to you over social media, of course, how are you doing? I'm doing great. Thank you so much. But it's that ask for the gift card that is the red flag, right? Because when in our normal daily lives do people call us up and ask us to do a favor by getting $100 in Google Play cards? Really never, right? Really never. So here's the thing that I recommend to people, and maybe I'm just not as kind as some people that are out there. I would automatically just delete it and say scam, but is call that person on the phone number that you have for them. Don't respond back to that message and say, "Are you sure this is really you?" Because it's a criminal that has control of that, messaging app now. So of course they're going to say, "Well, of course it's me." Call the number you have for that friend, family member, relative, whatever. Call them up and say, "Did you just send me a message asking me for $100?" And I guarantee you they will say no. And you are a better friend by you not losing money and them not being a victim of this hacking scam by doing that and not just sending them the money. It is a big problem. Sean, crazy enough, like, I know some of our volunteers have gotten this. I'm sure you've probably gotten an email from someone saying, "Sean, I need a favor. Can you get me a gift card?"
Well, if I had some friends, it would probably happen more.
No, what's so hard about it is that for many of us, it doesn't matter what a friend is asking for. We're going to consider it because that's our friend, and we want to give them the world if we can. It doesn't matter what they're asking for. So yeah, it makes it really, really tough. I'm so glad to hear that she learned just from watching this show tonight that this is a scam. It just goes to show the power of AARP doing this show. Norman from California joins us now. Thanks for joining us, Norman. Go right ahead. Norman?
Hello. Yeah.
Hey, do you have a question or a comment for us?
Yeah, I was just saying about a scam that I got stuck into. That they called and said this was my grandson, and he was in a car accident, and he was driving a rental car, and the insurance did not cover it, so he needed $6,000 to get out of jail. To go to Walmart and get this card, I can't remember the name of the card, and send it to this person who is his attorney, and he could get out of jail. So we did. And a little while later, a day or two later, the attorney said, "Well, we have a problem. We need another $6,000 in order to cover the damages on the rental car." So we sent that. And then as we went on, I finally woke up a little bit, and I said, "Well, I'm going to call my grandson and see what he's got to say." And he answered the phone. He wasn't in jail.
Oh, Norman, thank you so much for sharing that story. And I'm so sorry that that happened to you. As Sean was saying earlier, we heard a very similar call last week from a woman who, same thing, grandson was in jail. First and foremost, let's just be clear that that is not how our judicial process works, right? You cannot get out of jail with a gift card from Walmart. Maybe if you're playing the game Monopoly, but not in real life, can you get out of jail with a gift card. But just as Christina said a little bit earlier, when it's your friend, when it's a family member, right, we almost just stop thinking with our cognitive brain, and all we think about is our heart, and we want to help, and we want to get to these people, and we want to get them safe. So again, red flag. Someone calls and asks for a gift card. Huge red flag. If you hear gift card, hang up the phone. And I'm glad that even though it was after the fact that the money was gone, that you did call your grandson and find out. And that's, one of my biggest pieces of advice with this scam. If you ever get it, call the person at the phone number you have for them and say, how are you doing and what are you doing? And I bet they're not in jail because they wouldn't be picking up the phone if they were.
We sure appreciate that call, Norman. Thank you for sharing your story with us. We're going to pause for a quick break, but remember, we want to hear from you tonight, and we're not done giving away coolers just yet. We still have one more to give away. 877-283-7570 is the number to call, and join our conversation and let us know how scammers have tried to con you. Maybe you can actually help somebody avoid becoming a victim of fraud. Again, that number is 877-283-7570. We'll be right back with more Rural America Live with AARP after this.
Hi, I'm Joe Bonzel with the Oak Ridge Boys. Got a minute to talk about elder financial abuse? When it comes to scams and frauds, we are often looking out for the unknown con artist. But most financial crimes against older adults are perpetrated by someone they know. Financial exploitation is the most common form of elder abuse in the United States, and the average victim loses $120,000. We also know that this crime is severely underreported. Social isolation is a significant risk factor for financial abuse, and one of the best ways to combat it is maintaining a regular contact with your older loved ones. Some telling signs of financial abuse include sudden changes in mood or behavior, or new financial issues like overdue bills or maxed out credit cards. Listen, if you suspect your older loved one is suffering from financial exploitation, contact Adult Protective Services in your area for guidance and support. And if you fear your loved one is in danger, call 911. Hey, be a fraud fighter. If you can spot a scam, you can stop a scam. Visit the AARP Fraud Watch Network at aarp.org/FraudWatchNetwork or call the AARP Fraud Watch Network helpline at 1-877-908-3360 to report a scam or get help if you have fallen victim. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Joe. Welcome back to you. We still have one cooler to give away, so we're going to go straight to the phones. I want to make sure you have the number to call in. We still have time for your call, 877-283-7570. Winston of Pennsylvania joins us now. Thanks for joining us, Winston. Go right ahead.
Yeah, what I'm calling in regards to is I have a situation that happened to me within the last couple of weeks. I got an ad on my phone for a job to use my car as free advertisement, and they would pay me to do it. And I got a check from them that set me off in a cycle that I think was a fraud. They sent me a check for $4,900, and I was supposed to put it in the bank immediately and then call them, and they were going to take $4,000 out and put it towards putting decals on my car for Dr. Pepper or whatever, and then I was supposed to take the $800 for myself. I did not do that. I still have the check in my hand. I wondered is this a scam that is going around? Because I would have been out $4,900 if I'd have done what they wanted me to do.
First, let me just say, yay, I'm so glad that you still have your money because, yes, 100% a scam and very popular. This also was very popular in the height of the pandemic, right? When people lost jobs and they were looking for, alternative income. Is like, well, I drive my car every day. Why not put a sticker on it to do some advertising? So how this scam works is the check that you got in the mail is fake. It looks real, and you might even take it to the bank and your bank will deposit it, right? They'll put it in your account. They'll make the funds available because, without getting into too much, by law, they have to make the funds available to you because when you sign the back of the check, you're saying, oh, I, Amy, say that this check is good. I know it's good. I verify for it. Then 2 weeks later, after the check goes through all of it, floating through the banks and whatnot, it comes back and it's fake. Well, by that time, you've already called them and you've sent them essentially you're good $4,000, right? So then the bank calls you and says, nope, the check wasn't good. and you've already sent them $4,000, you're not getting that back, right? So here's the thing with this. One, if anybody sends you a check like this and wants you to deposit it and then call them right away, stop. It's a scam. Huge red flag. Do not do it. And if you even have already done it and you put a check in the bank, do not send them any money whatsoever, because I guarantee you that check that they sent you is fake. Sean, I don't know, have you been hearing about this in Oklahoma? Because I certainly know here in Colorado and on the helpline we've heard about it.
Yeah, just unfortunate. And so we've heard about that a lot. And I think you really outlined some important, it's a scam. And so, again, it's just tonight, there's so many scams that are out there. And when it's been back and forth, the callers have called in sharing their stories. We've been able to determine whether that's a scam or not. And we've learned some tips along the way. So there's so many scams that are out there. And it's just really, during the pandemic, it really escalated. We call it getting under the ether, stress of the pandemic, financial security, inflation, and it just makes it a really highly susceptible time for folks to fall victims. And many times when you think that it sounds like a good deal, and it's really not.
Yeah.
We have a little bit of time if you still want to call in with your question. That's the second person that you were directly able to help tonight. 877-283-7570. Our next caller is our next winner. Rose joins us from Colorado. Thanks for joining us, Rose. Go right ahead.
Yes, I just want to let you know of a scam that I had gotten. I bought a Visa gift card from the store, and $100, and I use it. You have to register it online, and then you can use it online to purchase some stuff, and I do that instead of using a regular credit card. So I got a $100 gift card, and I called the number on the back. You have to register it, and I did that day, gave them the card number and whatever they asked for, and I held on the line, and nobody. I finally hung up, and I thought, well, I'll just, in a few days, go to the computer. You can register it online on the computer also. And when I went a few days later to register it on the computer, it said my gift card was zero balance. And so I looked. You can look, and if you put the number in and see, and here somebody had used my whole $100 already that same day from another state.
Wow. Yes. And so that's part of that gift card kind of scam criminal activity that we talk about. Now, obviously, I'm not 100% sure how your money was taken off of that Visa gift card. But what we do know is that when you walk into your grocery store and you see that rack of gift cards there, we know that criminals will go in there and they'll either take pictures of the serial numbers, and then they'll take that little pin off. Usually there's like under a sticky piece of paper. They'll jot it down. They'll take pictures of it, whatever. Then when you load money on that card, they have a whole computer system that like kind of dings them and says, oh, there's $100 on that card. So quickly they go in and take out your money. So even the other day, I was buying some Valentine's Day gift cards for my kids. And I looked at the front and the back of the gift card to make sure it hadn't been tampered with. I pull from the back, I go up front closer to the register where maybe more eyes are on that gift card. And then I always take that little receipt that the cashier prints out and gives to you that verifies that I bought it and the amount that I put on there, right? Because people like getting gift cards, and for you, it's a great way to kind of keep track of your spending. I like to give them as gifts, right? But we have to be safe about it as well, because we know criminals will go wherever there's money, and gift cards have money.
Bill from Illinois joins the conversation now. Thanks for joining us, Bill. Go right ahead.
Yes, I was just telling the lady we've been scammed by I don't know if I'm supposed to tell it, the name of it, but it's Nantucket in Branson. And we've probably been, I just asked my wife, she said we've got at least $17,000. We joined the place and never did go there. And they kept inviting us to come back, and we didn't go. And finally they sent us a thing, and they said this is not a maintenance fee, but it's just a one-time. He said because of the way things are in our economy right now, but they needed like $475, and we didn't pay that. Then finally we found a legitimate place to get us out of Nantucket, which is in process right now, and we never did pay that. And finally we had to pay the $475 in order to get out, which we did. But now, come to find out, they want $1,500, and this is legitimate. And we finally are paying that to finally get out. So we're in the process of finally getting. But I just want other people to be careful. If you join a timeshare, I don't know how many of them are out there. Are just nothing but crooks. And so we're both 86 years old, and we will never go listen to another spiel now. Come on down, and we'll give you 3 nights and 2 days, and we'll give you several meals, and we'll give you this and that. And 9 times out of 10, this is not legitimate. It's just something to rein you in, especially old people like us. So we finally decided that don't go for a timeshare. The first time we had a timeshare was at Fairfield Bay when they very first invited, and it was wonderful. We went down there every week. Cost us about $3,000. We paid it off by so much a week, and we enjoyed it. And it was really it was 100% true and good. We enjoyed it for several years, but now it's turned into nearly every one of them that I can think of is nothing but a crook.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I've heard a lot of people have problems with timeshare and timeshare exits. My best advice, do your research, talk to your Attorney General's office, look up the company online, search the Better Business Bureau, and if you ever need help, call us on the helpline and we can direct you on where to go for help.
Amy, on that, I also hear a lot of attorneys on the radio, we can help you get out of your timeshare. Yeah. So it makes me wonder, are some of these legal folks, is that a scam as well? It makes me wonder.
Well, I always say if it makes you wonder, it probably should make you wonder, right? So, take the name of that company that's doing that pitch, put it in a search engine, write the words complaint, review, scam after it, and do your research. Don't go in sight unseen. Do your research and find out what other people's experiences with these companies are.
Which is why I love this show, because we get to hear other people's experiences, just like we did from Bill just now. We appreciate you, Bill. Thank you. We only have a few moments left for final thoughts. Amy, let's start with you.
Final thoughts for me, if anyone ever asks you to buy a prepaid gift card, go to a crypto machine like we showed you earlier. Do not do it. 100% a scam. And just never forget what our parents taught us when we were younger about stranger danger. It doesn't matter what age we are. Remember about stranger danger, especially when you're on social media.
Absolutely. And then your final thoughts tonight, Sean.
Again, we talked about it on the first part of the show. If you think you have a phone that's 2012 or older, check with your provider to see if it's going to be make it through the 3G to exit. So if you think you have a 3G phone, talk to your provider and they'll know.
All right. Make sure you visit aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork for more. Thanks for joining us tonight.